Hello. Okay, I'm going to introduce my good friend and elder, Terry Wildman, really quickly. But before I do that, I want to explain what we'll be sharing with all of the students that are watching this recording. Hello. So, Native InterVarsity is a firm believer that we can both be Native and learn how to follow Jesus and strive to honor Jesus. And we don't want to push any culture aside. We want to embrace both and be in that tension. It's hard, but we think it's good and exciting to do so. So tonight we're going to have a couple of speakers. We're going to have our good friend and elder Terry Wildman share a couple of songs that honor Jesus, some drum songs, and then we're going to hear my good friend Zelma Wind talk about her experience as a college student, first generational college student, and the importance of, just Jesus in her life, and also the importance of community in her college career. So thank you for joining us, Terry and Zelma and everyone else in the Zoom room. I'm going to introduce my good friend Terry. He has been a great elder of mine for a couple of years. He and his wife do a lot of just awesome contextualized worship for Jesus, honoring Jesus. And I am super honored to have gotten to know him. He is super wise, and take it away, Terry.
All right, can you hear me okay?
You're a little lower in volume.
Let me bring it up. See, does that help a little?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. So while we're getting that, I'm gonna get my guitar and can someone give me screen sharing capability?
It should work now.
Working on it. So I'm gonna put some words up on the screen for everybody. Um, oh, it's still a little okay. I'm gonna. How's that with the sound? Is that any better?
Mhm.
It's a lot
Thumbs up.
better.
Okay.
Yes.
And okay, it looks like I have screen sharing. Everybody see the words to the song there?
Yes.
All right, let me just say something about this song before I start. We wrote this song back when we lived on the Hopi Indian Reservation in northern Arizona, and the Hopis have these spirits they call kachinas, and each kachina has a different purpose, and they're kind of like almost like angels, like we would think of angels, spirits from the Creator to help us. And one of the kachinas that they have is a sun faced kachina, and the kachina has the, the the disk of the sun with feathers going out as rays. And so uh, I asked one of the Hopi elders one time, "What is the meaning of these feathers that go out from the sun face?" He said, "Well, those are the rays." Well, I said, "Do they have anything special about those?" Well, he goes, "Yeah, they mean they're for healing." And I thought of that verse in the Bible where it says it's in Malachi where the Son of Righteousness will rise with healing in his wings. And in that particular verse, the Son of Righteousness is SUN. So there's this imagery, this metaphor, this picture of Jesus coming, and he's coming like the sunrise. We sang this in the Hopi jail, and there was a Hopi lady that was there, and she had been struggling a lot with alcohol. And we sang this song, and during this song, she had a picture in her mind. And in her picture, she saw this sun faced person coming toward her like a kachina. And as she was singing this, Jesus, you are Jesus, I welcome you, she felt heat go into her body. And she says, I believe it was Jesus. He was the Spirit coming to me. And later on, we met her after she got out of jail. A year later, we lost track of her. And a year later, she said she was delivered from alcohol that very day. And she's never drank again after it had been a whole year. So as we sing this song, it's based on several scriptures, including the one in Malachi, and it's based on Isaiah 60. Um, Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya. The Son of Righteousness is rising, coming with healing in his wings, rising to shine his face upon us. He's here to set the captives free. Arise and shine, our light has come. The path of peace is before us now. We will welcome the rising sun, sent from heaven, the sacred one, the bright and morning star, the light of the world. Jesus, you are Jesus. Jesus, you are Jesus. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya. The glory of the Lord is dawning, bringing the light of the new day to shine on those who live in darkness and in the shadow of death. Rise and shine, our light has come. The path of peace is before us now. Sing it with me. We will welcome the rising sun, sent from heaven, the sacred one, the bright and morning star and light of the world. Jesus, you are Jesus. Jesus, you are Jesus. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya. Yahweh, hey ya, hey ya. All right, yeah. So this next song is a drum song, and it's from the Bible, Psalm 100, based on that. And so we really like this song. Well, here comes my grandson Zane into the room. He'll probably sing with us too. All right. So make a joyful shout to the Lord, all you lands, all ye lands. Make a joyful shout to the Lord, all ye lands, all ye lands. Come before his presence, sing. way Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Make a joyful shout to the Lord, all ye lands, all ye lands. Before his presence singing, all ye lands, all ye lands. Way Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Way Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Make a joyful shout to the Lord, all ye lands, all ye lands. Come before his presence singing, all ye lands, all ye lands. Way Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. Way Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, Yahweh, hi, Yahweh, 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 Yahweh. All right.
Amen, Uncle Terry. Thank you very, very much for sharing that with us. We are super honored to have you. Thank you.
To be here.
Awesome.
Let's share my screen here somehow. There we go. All right.
Perfect. Okay. Next, we are going to have my good friend Zelma share some of her story, and also, yeah, a little background on how I know Zelma. So, Native InterVarsity has workers who just do different things like this workshop with students, Native students, and they do a training your first year on staff. And Zelma and I were on the same training team called an intern team. And so I know Zelma pretty well, but yeah, she's probably also going to introduce herself a little bit. Zelma is like a sister to me, and I'm excited to hear what she has to say. So, Zelma, I first want to ask you, what is your go-to Starbucks order?
Pink drink with no ice.
The pinkety drinkety.
No ice as you get more.
Awesome. And you are a first generational college student?
Yes.
And from what school, and what was your degree of choice?
So first I went to the College of Muskogee Nation and I got a certificate in the Muskogee language. And then I went to the University of Oklahoma and my major was religious studies and my minor was Judaic and Israel studies. And I got a bachelor's in that.
Awesome. And where are you currently?
I'm in Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, I'm going to hand it off to you. Go ahead and take it away.
Okay. Let me pull up my notes. Hishe, Zelma Wind, Chahochifkados, Nogozalgi Amilegados, Gazitataki Amidalwados, Phoenix, Arizona Adeyedos, Dozi Legedos, Thomas Moman Sharon Chakchkolagidowagis. Hello, my name is Zelma Wind. My clan is the Bear Clan. My tribal town is Big Gazita. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, but I live in Tulsa now, and my parents are Thomas and Sharon Wind. I'm Muskogee, Cherokee, and Irish on my dad's side, and on my mom's side, I am German, Dutch, Swedish, Irish, and English. Before I start, I want to give a little trigger warning. I talk about depression, suicide, and abuse in my story. So if you need to mute me, that's completely okay. I understand that these types of things can be rough, and I do hope and pray that Creator speaks to everyone through my story and my experiences. I was born in Oklahoma, but we moved to Arizona when my grandma on my mom's side got sick. And when she got better, we just never moved back to Oklahoma. I have 6 siblings. My eldest sister and 2 of my older brothers grew up here in Oklahoma with their biological mom, and I grew up with my other sister and my other 2 brothers in Arizona. We would visit Oklahoma twice a year to spend time with my other siblings and my dad's side of the family. Growing up, my dad was an alcoholic. He's not anymore. Actually, he's a great man of God, and our relationship is better than ever before. And don't get me wrong, I have a lot of happy childhood memories, but sometimes the negative makes more of an impact, even if there's not that many negative memories. My dad only really drank once or twice a week, but when he did, he was verbally and emotionally abusive. My Friday nights, sometimes Saturdays, were filled with a lot of yelling between my parents and my dad yelling at us. When I was younger, my sister would drag me to church every Sunday. I think it was her way of escaping from the memories of the night before when my dad would drink. I was baptized at 9 years old in Oklahoma at my family's church. And eventually I gathered the courage to tell my parents I didn't want to go to church anymore. And they couldn't make me because they weren't going to church themselves. By 10 or 11 years old, I had lost faith in God. I didn't lose faith in the existence of God. I lost faith that he actually cared. The catalyst was my mom one night telling me to pray that my dad would stop drinking. But we had been saying that prayer for a long time, and it had come to mean nothing to me. I questioned her on it, telling her that it didn't matter if we said it, because it didn't work. God had never answered our prayers before, so why would he start now? And then my grandpa died. He had been the only man in my life who had never been violent towards me. My dad drank and was verbally abusive while intoxicated, and my 2 brothers that I grew up with had anger issues. My grandpa had never even said a mean word to me. How could God take him from me? How could he take the only man I have ever trusted away from me? I wanted nothing to do with God. At 13 years old, I found some friends who had similar home situations as I did. We became involved with things that most parents tell their children not to mess with, especially Native parents. We became involved with witchcraft. It gave us something to cling to. It gave us a community. It gave us something to look forward to. I stopped at 15 years old, which was also about the time my dad stopped drinking. The issue was for 2 years, I messed with spiritual things that I shouldn't have. In my family, Creator has gifted us with certain gifts that allow us to see into the spiritual realm, and that coupled with what I have messed with for 2 years created a really bad spiritual environment for me. Every night since I was 13, I had nightmares and I was tormented through visions by evil spirits, and this continued into college. I moved to Oklahoma for college when I was 17 years old. I went to the College of Muskogee Nation in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. It was there that I met one of my closest friends. She was my roommate, and we were both extremely shy. Our friendship literally started because neither one of us wanted to go to the cafeteria by ourselves. When you live with other people, you begin to see the truth behind that front that they put out. And you may come across people in abusive relationships in college. And I know it'll be hard to sit there and watch it happen, but there's literally nothing you can do but be there for your friend and support them. While I was at the College of Muskogee Nation, I searched out ways to make the nightmares and visions stop. I was very fearful and barely slept at night, and I was not in a good mental space. I spent my weekends partying with my dorm mates and friends. I did it because it was fun, but I also did it because if I was drunk when I went to bed, I wouldn't have any dreams or nightmares. My weekends were filled with drunken sleep, but my weeknights were filled with fear and torment. It was in that place that I found Creator. Or well, he found me. He protected me. He made it stop. I found that as I leaned into him, I would have peaceful nights. I found that I didn't need alcohol for a somewhat peaceful sleep. And I eventually learned that every time I would stray away from him, those visions and dreams would come back. And that's all he was for me for a few years, a protector. Unlike many people, my relationship with Creator didn't start out with love on my end. I don't even know that I particularly liked him. I liked that he protected me, but I didn't know him enough to like who he was. My relationship with him started with the need for spiritual protection, and that's how he kept me close to him for years. I actually didn't start to accept his love until the past few years, and now I'm learning to love him. He was smart in how he drew me to him. I needed his protection, not just because of my gift, which at the time I saw as a curse, but because I didn't have that protection growing up. The people I was supposed to trust to protect me didn't. He got my attention by introducing himself to me as a protector. It was also then that I began to struggle with the questions that would shape my faith. I thought God hated both my people and I, but why would he protect me if he hated me? At the same time, if he didn't hate me, then why did he allow me to go through what I did as a child? Why did he allow my people to be murdered and abused? Why did he continue to allow it to happen? And how could I follow a God who was the cause of the genocide of my people? Almost every night for 2 years out of my 5 years of college, I would cry myself to sleep because I felt so torn. I felt as if I was betraying my people, my ancestors. Not only that, but I was grieving. I was grieving for what had happened to my people and for what had happened to me in my childhood. I didn't get any answers at that time, but by the time I graduated from the tribal college, I felt firmer in my decision to follow after this God that I didn't really even know, but he seemed to know me and he was willing to protect me. I transferred to the University of Oklahoma, which is where I would spend the next 3 years. It was there that I joined InterVarsity in the multi-ethnic chapter, and I learned how to study the Bible and pray. I'd been one of the only Christian students at my last college, and so I was excited to finally have some Christian friends. They modeled for me what it meant to be Christ-like and helped teach me what it meant to be free through Creator Sets Free. I originally went to OU for a criminology degree, but I felt as if God was calling me to switch my major to religious studies and my minor to Judaic and Israel studies. It was in these classes that I was able to wrestle with God. Was he really the creator of all things? Was Jesus even real? And if he was, which I learned that historians confirmed he had existed, did his death really mean anything? And even though at times those classes would cause me to question my faith in God to the extent that I wondered if I should even be following him, I couldn't deny my experiences with him. I couldn't deny the fact that he was the only one who could protect me spiritually when everything else I tried had failed. My second year at OU, in the spring, I was given the opportunity to start a Native small group. To be honest, it really didn't go anywhere, but it gave me the chance to think about questions I had put on the back burner. It gave me the chance to face the questions I knew that many others had themselves when it came to God and Christianity. I no longer thought God hated me or my people, but I still wasn't completely sure how he felt about us. Around this time, I began to struggle heavily with depression and suicidal thoughts. I was a security guard at the Bazell Library, and every other hour, I would walk around the library to make sure things were okay. Being the security guard meant I had keys to get into places that no one else could. This included the roof. And many times I would stand up there, looking down at the ground, wanting to jump off. I was numb and I wanted to know if I would feel it if I hit the ground when I hit the ground. And when I wasn't numb, I was sad. I wanted to feel anything other than numbness and sadness. But every time I stood up there was this still small voice in the back of my mind talking me down. He would talk about how I still had some stuff I needed to complete, or how it would make the people who found my body feel, and the trauma that they would experience. I didn't realize it until later, but it was God that was talking to me. During this time, I began to think about how he was the cause of genocide of Indigenous peoples. That's why Manifest Destiny existed, because the settlers believed it was their God-given right to claim all the land, since in Genesis, God gives dominion to man and he told them to fill it and subdue it. Creator had prepared our tribes for Jesus before anyone had discovered America. He had given us the tools to pray to him and to worship him in our own cultural ways. All we needed was an arrow to Jesus. I came to the conclusion that it wasn't Creator who had turned his back on us. It wasn't him who caused the genocide. He had prepared us for his good news. It wasn't him that failed. It was the people who were supposed to bring the gospel over. It was the people who cared more about greed, land, and money over the people that he had created. I realized that if God is love, then he wouldn't have been behind what happened to our people. But how could he let it happen? Free will. He gave us each free will to choose to follow him or go our own way. The free will to choose to be selfish or to care for those around us. And the people who had hurt us chose greed. He didn't want it to happen. In fact, I remember at Listen in 2019, which is a project on the Navajo reservation that Native University does. We were sitting on top of a mesa on the Navajo reservation, and the Holy Spirit gave me visions of everything that had happened to our Indigenous peoples. And he told me Jesus Christ for what's been done to your people. What was supposed to be done in love wasn't. And it was at that very moment that I began to accept the love that he has for us. I realized that Creator Sets Free took every step with our ancestors on the trails of tears. He was there for every beating, every rape, and every murder, every boarding school. His good news, which was supposed to be spread through love and kindness, had quickly turned to bad news for our peoples. The people that he loved so much turned their backs on him because those who called themselves his followers persecuted them under his name. In December of my senior year, my apartment mate, who was one of my best friends, attempted suicide. We had seen all the signs, and when she didn't show up for finals, we knew something was wrong. So I rushed to my apartment, meeting up with my other friend at the front door. And when we got into my friend's room, there was a note on the bathroom door, which was to our left, with an arrow pointing towards the bedroom saying, "I'm in here." And there was a suicide note on the floor in front of the door. She had taken pills, and we found her lying on her bed, barely conscious. We rushed her to the hospital, thankfully in time. We already knew that she had struggled with depression, and two of us struggled with it ourselves, which is probably why we were able to recognize the signs leading up to that day. And the other was a psychology major, which explained why she was able to recognize the signs. Could there have been something more we could have done when we first recognized the signs? Maybe. Then again, maybe not. Maybe recognizing the signs and keeping an eye on her was enough. I mean, you can't force someone to get help if they don't want it. Situations like that are unclear. We could have pressed the issue of her getting help, but that could have also pushed her away. She could have closed off from us and we wouldn't have known. Then again, maybe she would have gotten the help she needed, so that day never would have happened. In the end, she did get the help she needed, and as far as I've seen, she's doing a lot better. At Urbana 18, God convinced me to join university staff. Staff had made comments about me joining staff, but I said no each time. I wanted to go to grad school. At Urbana, God had told me that he could use me either way I went, but he preferred if I went on staff. He had already allowed me to feel his longing and love for Indigenous people, so I was easily convinced. I did tell him that if I was going to do it, then I wanted to go somewhere where a Native university was already established, which led me to Durango, Colorado with Megan and Willie Krishke. Colorado was both a blessing and a curse. Seeing the work of Creator in the lives of our students at Fort Lewis was amazing and so beautiful. At the same time, I was even more depressed than I had been in college. I missed my family so much. My dad started having health issues and I couldn't be there with him. I was afraid he would die. I'd already had so many people in my family die that year, and I didn't know what I would do if my dad joined them in death. I was so tired of death. For 3 months straight, we had people dying every week, sometimes multiple people in 1 week. On top of that, my sister had a miscarriage, which was really hard on her and us. I was so worried for her, and I couldn't help but think about my niece or nephew who had died. I also had a distorted view of myself. I wasn't seeing myself as Creator sees me, and my thoughts were filled with hateful thoughts towards myself and with angry thoughts towards God. Those thoughts were so evil, and I just wanted them to stop. It got so bad that I would climb the mountains in Durango and think about jumping off the edges where there were drop-offs. I was so sad and I was tired of crying. I just wanted the sadness and the pain to go away. And just like OU, Creator would talk me off the ledge. Creator Sets Free would hold his hand out to me, asking me to step away from the edge of the mountain. He would ask me to hold on a little longer and remind me of his love for my family and I. My time in Durango allowed me to seek healing and forgiveness for those who had hurt me and for those who had hurt my ancestors. I was able to finally forgive my dad and to let go of my anger at my mom for not protecting me as a child in the way that I felt she should have. I know that she did the best in the situation that she was in, but sometimes our emotions don't understand that. Forgiveness can take time and it's hard, but it's so very important. After I was able to forgive my parents and those who had hurt my ancestors, it's like I was able to love people on a different level. And I don't feel that bitterness, anger that I used to. Sometimes I still feel hurt, but for the most part, I feel at peace. So I just want to encourage y'all in forgiveness. And when you feel you can't forgive, ask Creator Sets Free to walk you into forgiveness. That's what he had to do for me. Native University gave me the room that I needed to explore what it means to be Native and Christian. I was able to safely wrestle with the question of, can I have both my culture and Creator? For the longest time, we have been told by the church that our cultures were sin and that in order to have Jesus and salvation, we had to give up everything about our cultures. Unfortunately, that belief is still around today. I used to believe that I had only one of two options. I could either reject Creator Sets Free and be part of my culture, or reject my culture and follow Creator Sets Free. There are many Natives as well as non-Natives who still believe that you can only have one or the other. But through Native University, Creator has helped me realize that I can have both. That when Creator created the world and everything in it, he created it with the future in mind, the future that included my people and our culture. He created us and called us good. And I know that what I'm about to say is commonly said, but I think it fits so well for us. I always think of a tapestry. From the back, it looks like a complete mess, and this random yellow string in a section of purple looks like it shouldn't be there, but it is, and it's there on purpose, with a reason. From the back, it looks out of place, but from the front, it's part of this beautiful picture of life and of worship that Creator is creating. I've had aunts, uncles, cousins, mentors, pastors, and many others tell me that I have to choose one or the other, culture or Jesus, that I can't have both. But my heart, my soul, my spirit isn't okay with that. There's this deep longing in me for something more than just those two options, something telling me to keep walking the path I'm walking, to keep moving branches and rocks out of this long forgotten path, a path that was once walked by my ancestors, but through hardship, pain, bitterness, anger, genocide, and bad ways, that path was forgotten. Community in college is important, and I pray and encourage you to find a safe community, whether it be Native IV or another group, where you can wrestle with the hard questions, where you can wrestle with your emotions. Find a community that will help you walk through the different stages of college and of life. In college, you will come across many different situations. College may be a great time for you. It may also be a really tough time for you. You might face hard professors, nice professors. You might have the time of your life there and meet lifelong friends, maybe even your future spouse. You might also struggle with depression and suicidal thoughts like I did. You might even have friends around you who struggle with depression and suicidal thoughts. But Creator is there for you. He walks with you every step of the way. If you are struggling with depression and suicidal thoughts, remember that Creator loves you. He is Ipo Fasta, the one who cares. He cares for you. He understands what you are facing, what you are feeling, for even Creator sets free was tempted to jump off of a high place by Satan himself. Like he did for me, he's holding his hand out to you. Come off that ledge, come out of the shadow of pain and death, come out into the sun's ray of warmth and love. I don't know your background, but if it was similar to mine, I pray that Creator walks you on a path of healing. I pray that you begin to see him as a good parent, as a protector, as someone who loves you. I pray that he allows you to feel how much he loves you, and I pray that one day you will be able to accept that love. If you're in pain, if you're tired, come to Creator Sets Free. Your pain is not for nothing. People always say there's a light at the end of the tunnel, but I say there is a light who walks every step with you through that tunnel. And he says in Matthew 11:28-30, come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy and my burden is light. Bring your burdens to him. He can help. He is holding his arms out to you. Walk into them. Let him hug you and fill you with his love and peace. I know my story isn't the happiest. And honestly, as I was figuring out what I wanted to say, I got kind of discouraged. Discouraged because it feels like most of what stands out to me in my life are the bad things that happened. But I think that's just because that's where I see Creator the most. He didn't cause those things to happen. And I'm sure if it was up to him, those things never would have happened. But I see his greatest works in my life through those things. And there's something that Cortland said to me a few weeks ago that has just stuck with me. He said, you made it through. You're here. And that's so true. I did make it through, and I am here, and Creator was with me every step of the way. While the first quarter of my life was a little rough, I still have so much life left. So many things to see, so many good memories to make, and so many conversations and experiences with Creator to have. I want to go into a time of listening prayer for like 5 minutes. And if you're comfortable, write a word or phrase that you feel Creator is saying to you in the chat. And if you feel like you need any prayer, someone to talk to, please feel free to reach out to any of the staff here. Also, sometimes Creator heals us through therapy. Therapy has been a part of my journey, and I know some of the other staff here have gone to therapy as well. If you feel you need to go to therapy, there's nothing wrong with that. Before we go into prayer, I do want to read a passage. So you can close your eyes and listen, or whatever way helps you to listen better. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. So yeah, let's go into the 5-minute prayer, listening prayer. Creator, we just thank you for everything that you're doing in the hearts of everyone that's listening. And we pray that you bless everyone who's here and everyone who will listen to this later. Yeah, just thank you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you very much, Zelma. We appreciate you a lot and all of the work that you're doing. And I don't know, just seeing the work that Creator's doing through you. So thank you very much. I'm going to end the recording, but we'll keep talking.